Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. If you're not new here, hi, welcome back. It's great to see you. This is a reading for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising, or if you have any other Scorpio placements, there may be a message in here for you. So Scorpio, to get started, I was seeing this image of you as a miner, like someone who mines, like with a chisel. And what I was getting is that this feels like a metaphor for something that you've been in a while, that you've been sort of in this mine, like chiseling away at something for a while. So it is kind of coming through as being like an obstacle, but it doesn't necessarily have to be one single thing. It could just be like life in general, or a certain area of your life. Maybe it's felt kind of like you've had to like sort of like slowly chisel away at something. And that perhaps up until this point, you haven't yet found that sort of like jackpot or success that you've been looking for. But the message that's coming through is that all of those failures, quote unquote, have allowed you to become an expert. And like the energy that's coming through with this is that like you've been like, because of your experience, because you've been doing this for such a long time, you've been able to like learn how to read certain subtleties and nuances that other people may not have learned how to do. And that there's this message here about enjoying the process rather than being focused on the result. And that is absolutely the right approach for you, Scorpio. But I do feel like this is coming through because I feel like you'll be getting something that you need. And it's coming through as being like something that you've been struggling with, or that you've needed like, the right tools maybe, and it could also be, so it could be like you're getting the right tools, or there's like, people coming in that are coming in to support you, or that they have the expertise that maybe you're lacking, or that you are, or maybe that you are that person that like maybe there's an opportunity or like a group or something like that approaching you with this opportunity to start digging in a different mine, for example. And it's like you, because of all this experience that you have all of this expertise that you can now use to help this group or something like that. It's kind of like maybe you're the missing piece to something. And I feel like that new opportunity, that new mine does have more potential. And I feel like there's something here where it's like, maybe what you don't have experience with is the recognition, the success, and the acknowledgement. And the way that it's coming through, I was getting this energy for you of this video of Chad Smith, who's the drummer of Red Hot Chili Peppers, playing the song by 30 Seconds to Mars. It went viral a couple of years ago, so you've seen it, but if you haven't, I highly recommend watching it. Where Chad Smith, who's of course an expert drummer, listens to a song that he's never heard before without the drum track and just starts playing the drums on top of it, and it's like, it's amazing. Like, let's just like seeing how he can sort of anticipate the pattern and the rhythm of the song and how it changes and all that. Anyways, so I'm seeing you as that figure where it's kind of like, I feel like up until this point, Scorpio, you've built up your skills to the point, but I feel like it's something where it's like a drummer in a band is probably the least recognized out of all of the members, right? Because he's not the lead singer, like who's the most recognizable. I feel like, as a metaphor, you're coming through as this drummer who maybe has been less recognized, but obviously plays a key role in something, and that you're getting your recognition. That's how it's coming through. Not that that's why you do it, right? But it is, I feel like something that is like, yeah, I feel like it's really emphasizing like that's not why you do it, that like you do it because you enjoy, you know, playing drums or whatever it is for you metaphorically. But that there is this aspect of recognition that's coming through, or like a breakthrough is really what I'm getting with this. Like, and it could be something like a breakthrough of some sort of obstacle that you've been dealing with, something that you've been chiseling away at. I'm also getting something about like transferable skills. Like, so even if it's not necessarily the field or the thing that you've been dedicated to, for example, right? Like he's playing like a different genre of music. It's kind of coming through like that, like transferable skill. Maybe it's not, maybe, okay, that's interesting. Maybe you're not going to a different mine, necessarily, Scorpio, like, but the fact that you are expert at chiseling is a skill that would be transferable to, like, let's say, like sculpting something out of marble, right? Like you're still chiseling, but you're doing it for a different reason. Like that's how it's coming through for you, that there's some sort of like transferable skill that you're maybe moving into a different field or something like that, or different genre or something like that. But that, because you've gained all of this knowledge, it's like you're already an expert, if that makes sense, which is really a really interesting message. Okay, so Scorpio, I'm going to pull cards for you. So I don't know. There may be a little bit of resistance to this at first. Okay. You have here the peacock's tail. So that talks about full vision. And then you have darkening at the bottom of the deck. Oh, I also was getting an iron energy for you, like because of 30 seconds to Mars. Mars being the planet that rules over, or that is associated with iron. There's a call to rely only on the reliable. What truly supports you? What have you already built? So reliability is coming through. But anyways, I'm going to read the description for the peacock's tail. Full vision, the spectrum, and inclusivity. The mesmerizing display of tail feathers opens to mark the alchemist having shifted from single to multi-perspective. This is a great achievement. The alchemist has opened 1,000 sets of eyes instead of one. They've discarded black and white thinking and allowed the full spectrum of colors, nuances, and solutions to come into the fold. Creative solutions to complex social and political polarities can be found in this sacred space. The force field of possibilities has opened, and the alchemist has entered a new paradigm belonging to multiplicity, dimensionality, and inclusion. Utilize this perspective for positive change while it lasts. When falling back into black and white thinking, as any alchemist will do, envision the splendor of the peacock's tail. Each feather contains a shimmering universe of possibility. Okay, so a full spectrum of color. Interesting. So maybe there are certain colors that are resonating with you at the moment. Because you have darkening at the bottom of the deck, it may be sort of a darker palette. But that this is also something that's very reliable for you, Scorpio. Which is interesting. Something very reliable for you. It's also kind of coming through as being like, a A little bit of routine. Like, I am kind of getting a little bit of like Capricorn energy. You may want to watch the last Capricorn reading because I was wearing the same shirt in that one. This sort of like darker palette that's coming through. But also something about like it's very reliable for you, or it's something that's very stable for you. It could also have something to do with like your comfort zone. Not in a bad way, but I feel like maybe there's something here where maybe there's been sort of like a time that you stepped away from this energy, like like that you stepped away from something that was very reliable to you, and it's like using those skills or that or going back into your comfort zone or something like that has sort of the key to something. It's kind of coming through as being like, if it's not like maybe something like an old job, right? Like something that you used to do that was very reliable for you at one point, but maybe you stepped away from it. Or if it's not a job, it's like a certain skill set that you had at that job, for example, that is being translated into your new environment in some way. And so it's kind of like you've like, okay, so I'm getting something about like riding a bike, right? Like, I guess maybe like something like that. I'm getting this weird message about like, so maybe it's something where it's like you used to avidly ride like be a bicyclist, right? Or like a cyclist, like you maybe that was like your main form of exercise or whatever. And then but maybe you had to put that aside for some reason, or you just like put it down and tried some new stuff or whatever. And it's like this new thing. Maybe you're going back to that. I'm seeing a stationary bike though for some reason. Like, so there could be something like that, like a shift. It's slightly different medium, but of course the same skill, like that kind of thing. Slightly different medium, but same skill. So there's something like that coming through. It's related, and like your past experience is very relevant. And then you have the Father, which is interesting. And you have the Hunter at the bottom of the deck. The Father. So maybe you're working with masculine energy. The Father embodies both light and dark aspects of the masculine. Thus, he is infinitely dynamic and complex. His energy is strong and regal, embodying such virtues as honesty, wisdom, and loyalty. Yet, ironically and simultaneously, the Father is often absent, literally or emotionally. Through absence or action, the Father eventually reveals that he is neither a king nor a god, but a human being with many flaws and wounds. He is both the guardian and the one who leaves us to the wolves, here yet gone, the champion and the failure. The Father can never resolve or escape this duality. It is inherent in the archetype itself. Witnessing the Father's limitations allows the child to grow beyond the family and into the world. Okay. I'm getting shadow energy with this, like not in a bad way. Well, because you have this sort of energy of duality. It's interesting. This card talked about like black and white thinking, right? Versus color, like the full spectrum. And then you have this sort of black and white thinking and then color aspect of this card as well, which is very interesting. And there is this aspect of light and dark that's coming through for you, Scorpio. But I feel like there's something here where, like, I'm getting something like, I feel like this is so I feel like most people in the community can sort of identify, well, maybe some people not, but like for me at least, I can identify a certain point in my life that I recognize as being an awakening, right? Like a spiritual awakening. That point in my life, I can clearly mark that time. And before that, how I see it is that I was operating in my shadow, unconsciously, right? And so I feel like there's something like that coming through where there's maybe you're being reminded of a past energy where you were unconsciously operating in a shadow or this energy of darkness, right? Where like maybe you were whatever it is for you, that's going to be specific to you. But maybe in that time, right? Because it's not to say that that was a negative thing or anything. It's all part of the process. It's all part of the journey. Maybe there was a certain job that you were in, or maybe there was a certain relationship that you were in, maybe, or like something that you learned in that time frame, like pre-awakening is how it's going through for you. Could even be when you were young or whatever, like pre-awakening is what I'm getting with this. And it's like, I feel like maybe Scorpio, you had this time where you are now awakened, let's say, and you've changed a lot of those things about you, or like you've made different like changes, and it doesn't have to be spiritual based necessarily. It could be something like, let's say, maybe it's something like, let's say in the past you lived in a certain city, right? And that marked a certain era, or you worked in a certain job, and there's a clear point where you no longer lived in that city, or you no longer worked at that job, and you moved on to something newer and better, let's say. So there's this like clear shift is how it's looking to me, but that you're being asked to revisit something about that past energy, like that past city, your pre-awakening, let's say, or that job that you hated, or whatever it is, because there was something there for you that you learned, or that you, like some sort of skill, some sort of like key bit of information. It is coming through as being like a skill or like a breakthrough or like something that you needed in that past energy that is wanting to come through into the present in order to help you with your current situation or whatever it is. It is feeling kind of like a breakthrough energy, like I'm kind of getting something about like a remembrance, like remembering that you know how to chisel, for example, like whatever it is. Like it does feel like something that either was forgotten, or you forgot it, or you just put it down, or like you haven't like ventured into that realm for a while, and it's like you're remembering that you know how to do this, or that you have this skill, or that you've learned this lesson before, or something like that. But it does feel like it was born out of shadow initially. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad, but I feel like there's something here about integrating that aspect, like now using that part of you consciously, right? Like that's how it's feeling. So if for the benefit of others as well as yourself, because I feel like up until this point, perhaps it was something that you were doing unconsciously or subconsciously, or it's really wanting to come through though as being like more intentional of integrating this aspect of yourself. Interesting. The earthworm. And like, I love that there's color in this. Which is so interesting, because I was saying that you're an expert at something, Scorpio, But the earthworm talks about being a beginner, actually, which is so interesting. Because I feel like there's something here where it's like you are an expert at something, but the message that was coming through at the end of that was that you're the thing that's new for you. What was it that I wrote? What you don't have experience with is the recognition, success, and acknowledgement, right? Like it's like you have all this expertise, but what's new for you is the acknowledgement of that, or the success, right? It's kind of like you've been digging in this mine for years, let's say, but you've never found any diamonds, right? Like metaphorically. And so it's like you're being moved to a new mine and all of a sudden there are diamonds everywhere. And it's like, okay, like what do I do with this? Because it's like your experience is having worked with just plain old rock, right? Like that's how it's coming through. So it's like, in a sense, even though you are an expert at something, it feels new because all of a sudden you're finding all of this success when maybe that's not what you have been used to. Like it is kind of coming through as being a flip into the opposite, so that you now feel like a beginner again, is how that's coming through, which is really interesting. There's this feeling of being a beginner again, but I love that there's this color energy, because it's I'm just seeing like so much potential. And then you have Spider at the bottom of the deck, which is, again, more color. You have a lot of color here. I think that there's something, though, about, like, I'm not, it doesn't feel like duality. I don't think that's it for you, but there is a before and after kind of energy that's coming through for you. Before and after this point. But there's something from the before that's coming back around. We are out of Mercury retrograde. We're still in the post shadow though, I think, and there's still a lot of planets in retrograde. So there could be that kind of energy though of like integrating something from before. And it's coming through as being like a reminder of a certain skill that you had that you forgot. That ends up being like the key to something, or I don't know, like a refresher or something like that. Okay, can I get a card external to Scorpio, please? Autumn. The Autumn card. And you have Quicksilver at the bottom of the deck, so Mercury energy is coming through. This card also talks about thresholds. You have Mercury and mortification under that, and then despicable face, and then darkening again. Okay, so something that was hidden, and I feel like that despicable face energy is coming from the past, right? The before. I feel like there's also something about like getting a new perspective on the past. Like maybe there's something here where like it feels like there's some, like, especially if it's talking about an awakening, but it doesn't have to be necessarily that for you, right? It could be something like you move cities or you move jobs or whatever. A significant change, a significant transition from the past where it's like now you know more than you did, right? So it's kind of like you know more than you did, and I feel like there's something of getting like a new perspective on the past, because you can now see the full picture, the full spectrum of something, that you're understanding something from the past that you didn't understand before, right? Like, or that you didn't, like, it does feel like getting clarity about the past. Which is very interesting, but there's like this new beginning for you. With the Autumn card though, I feel like, so this is an external energy, and this card talks about like being at the culmination of something. It also talks about abundance and generosity. So I'm seeing this as being like some situation. It could be a person. It feels more like a group or like a community or something like that, or whatever it is, that has an abundance that they're going to share with you, right? Like how it's coming through is like there's a group of other miners, for example, like other miners. I don't know if there's something about age that's coming through with that. Like, anyways, other people who are digging for mine, like in the mine, who are saying like, Scorpio, can you come help us with this, right? Like, that's how I'm seeing this energy. Like, can you come help us with this? Because you have all this experience or whatever it is. And we could use your help, right? And so you all benefit from whatever it is you find there, right? You all benefit. You're sharing the abundance is how it's coming through. Maybe you are playing this role of the masculine in this. Because you're coming out with the father energy. And I also feel like it's important here to like remind yourself that failure is part of the process. Like, you would not have gotten here at this point, Scorpio, if you hadn't failed at something at one point. The river. It's so interesting. Okay, you may want to watch yesterday's Cancer reading, because the river card was... It didn't come out, but it was a main theme of that reading yesterday. So you may want to watch that one. That's an external energy for you. And then you have the Venom at the bottom of the deck. That's so interesting. This could also be a situation for you, Scorpio, where you may be asked to take a step back even. Like, that might be part of it as well, like with the father energy. Like, there may be something here where, like, this came out in yesterday's reading as well, like, you're not the protagonist of this story, that something else is happening around you that is bigger than yourself, is how it's coming through. So it may be that you're like, because I'm kind of seeing something where it's like, maybe in a situation your instinct is to lead or to take control of the situation or something like that. Like, your instinct may be to lead, is how it's feeling. But I feel like here for the earthworm, that might not be like what you're being asked to do for some reason. Like, I am kind of feeling this sort of like taking a step back, and there's somebody else who's sort of taking control of something that I feel like you have been not like taking the lead on something. I want to say that you maybe there's a bit of resistance there, not because you don't believe that they're capable, but more so because like it's new for you to take a step back, if that makes sense, from whatever this is. It's also kind of coming through, like, just as an example, Scorpio, like, maybe this is coming through for someone, like, just like stereotypical traditional gender roles of like the man of the family who makes the most money, for example, right? Like, that's just like a very stereotypical traditional gender role kind of energy, like the man who makes more versus the woman who maybe makes less. But it's almost like I'm almost seeing that flipping, right? Like, that's how it's coming through, where now the woman is making more money, is the primary breadwinner or whatever, Just as an example, like there's something like that coming through. So it's like for you, if you're coming through as the masculine energy in this Scorpio, it's like having to take a step, you're not taking a step back, but it's kind of like somebody else is taking the lead on something is more so how it's feeling. And that might be different or new for you with the earthworm. I don't know. That might apply to someone. I'm not sure how that's going to apply in a metaphorical sense, so just take it if it resonates. Okay. Autumn and the river. Very interesting. Okay. Octopus, swan, nightingale, and the crocodile. And you have the venom at the bottom of the deck, which is an interesting card. You have dragon here at the bottom of this deck. Oh, there's another one, gazelle. Okay, so gazelle talks about being very present. I feel like that's on your side, actually, or what's connecting the two of you, this energy. Okay, because there's a lot going on this other side of like this energy of reflection, because you see this horse that's sort of reflected in the river, and then you have the swan that has this reflection, and then you also have the crocodile, which I'm seeing as being like something in the water that feels a little bit shadowy, but because the gazelle is here, it talks about being present, and it talks about this sort of like hypervigilance that can anticipate there being predators when there aren't predators. Like how that's coming through. So there may be something here about fear. Like the shark didn't come out, but I feel like, but there's something about that where it's like, I want to say that this is past energy that you're being asked to let go, because there's something here about like, let's say, okay, I'm going to use this example of the city, right? Like, let's say in the past you lived in a different city, and that city had like higher crime rates, or like, I don't know, more chances of natural disasters or something like that, right? Like in this past city, or whatever it is for you. And so there's a part of you that has this sort of anticipation of like, okay, we have to prepare for if there's an earthquake or if there's a tsunami or whatever. And that maybe you lived there for a long time, but it's like now you're in this new city where they don't have a high chance of earthquakes and whatever natural disasters, and there are less crime rates. Like the crime rates are down. It's a safer city. It's, whatever it is. You live in a better neighborhood or something like that. And, but let's say in the past, when you lived in that other city, you developed these sort of skills that allowed you to survive, right? Like being really careful about walking home at night, or like taking certain measures of like always having an emergency backup thing in case the power goes out or whatever. Like I'm getting things like that, like security measures, which are coming through shadow energy, like your shadow, the things that protect you from potential harm, like that kind of thing. It has good intentions, but I feel like there's something here of like, you're no longer in that city anymore. So those protective measures maybe are not necessary or something like that. But it's like, I don't know, like a learned behavior or something like that. Because this new city doesn't have this, right? There is something though coming through with this, is that like there's something about that time in your life that is relevant, though, which is interesting. There's something about that time in your life that is relevant. Like, let's say in that city you worked a particular job that had a skill set. That job is going to be relevant in your future, but not the part about being really hypervigilant, if that makes sense. Like, so it's such a like weird and specific example. Like, let's say in that old city you worked as a teacher, right? And maybe you moved to this new city, but also moved jobs. So you're no longer a teacher, but maybe there's something about being a teacher again or something like that. It doesn't have to be that. I'm just trying to get across that there seems to be like a lot of complex layers to this. And it's like you like having to pick apart the pieces that you need that will be coming with you and which parts are just the things that are being cleared. Like, that's how it's coming through. Something unexpected, though, I feel like about this new beginning for you. Because because you are coming through with the earthworm, right? It's like, there is something new. There is something that's coming through as being like your beginner at something. But it's like adjacent to something that you used to do, if that makes sense. Okay. there's a lot. It feels like a lot of like either moving pieces or layers is what I'm getting. But I feel like there's, because you have the sort of the swan and the nightingale, that of course is the focus on the other side. Speaking from the heart, the swan is also very creative. It also talks about like self-reflection. And with the father here, because you have this sort of like mirroring energy, like there could be something about father energy that has something to do with like your creative process or like something that you create, or there's sort of like this father influence on what it is that you create, Scorpio. That's how it's coming through. Which I feel like there is something positive about that, right? It doesn't necessarily feel negative, although with the venom and the octopus, there may be a negative aspect to it, right? Like, because especially with the peacock's tail coming out, it's not all good and it's not all bad. It's complex. It's multidimensional. It's layered. There are nuances that go into whatever this is. It's not all good. It's not all bad. It's not black and white. It's complex. So I feel like there's something here as well with the octopus about, because this is a card about codependency and someone who doesn't have great boundaries, but like has good intentions. So again, there's good intentions, but the effect comes out wrong or something like that. But again, there's this color here, right? There's color up here. So maybe you're seeing something about another who has had good intentions, but maybe the outcome hasn't been favorable or something like that. There's a lot of blue and orange coming through your reading as well. So that talks to me about sacral chakra and throat chakra, which are of course linked. That has to do with creativity and expression of that creativity. So those those cards feel significant to me today for you. There's something about creativity, expression. The crocodile does talk about like going, like, I see it as sort of like sitting and waiting. Like it is a bit of like a Page of Swords energy. Sort of like watching and waiting, observing, waiting until the right time to act on something is usually how that comes through with the crocodile. There's maybe something here for you, Scorpio, where maybe in the past you had this sort of tendency to act or do things with the best intentions, but maybe it didn't like result in the thing that you wanted or whatever. It didn't result in the best case scenario for something. And I feel like maybe there's something here about like learning when to pause, when to wait for the right time for something. Like timing is coming through as being significant for this. Okay, can I get cards for Scorpio? Okay, they're slow to come out today. Okay, can I get cards for Scorpio, please? Okay. The Empress, Two of Swords, and Eight of Swords. Sorry. Two of Swords and Ace of Swords. Okay. And then you have very interesting 3, 2, 1 coming through as numbers for you. So that feels like a countdown. And ending with the Ace of Swords. Okay, interesting. Because normally you would have, like, if this were sequential, right, you would have the Three of Swords here, but instead you've got the Empress. So what that's telling me is that you've overcome some sort of heartbreak or pain, right? The Three of Swords. And you've become the Empress, right? Like feminine energy. Mastery of feminine energy is how that's coming through. And you don't get to Empress or Emperor state unless you've overcome some significant challenges, right? Like that's how it's feeling. This Two Swords is really interesting because it's not one where the two swords are crossed. It's one where they're both upright. But I feel like there's something here about like, so it's coming through that message again of like being an expert, but also being a beginner at something. Whatever that is. The expert, I feel like it's almost like that sounds like really harsh in my brain, but it's like okay. It almost feels like an expert at not succeeding, Scorpio. I know that seems harsh to say, but it feels like you've gotten so much experience, but not necessarily the success that you've been looking for. And not to say that those were failures, but I feel like that has given you other skills, right? Like perseverance, hard work, determination, being able to like finish or follow through on things. Like it's like those are the things that you've gained throughout this process, but it's like you have been searching for the other thing, which is the success, I feel like, or whatever it is for you. Maybe there's a particular goal that you've been trying to reach that you haven't been reaching. I feel like that's the thing that you're going to be experiencing. That's going to be the new thing, or what you are a beginner at, right? Like beginner at finding the success that you haven't yet found up until this point. Whatever that is, it doesn't have to be like work related or anything like that. Yeah, you have 9 of Cups, Knight of Pentacles, and 6 of Swords coming out next. I do feel like there's something in your external environment that's sort of making its way to you, but perhaps a bit slowly here with this. Okay, 6 of Cups, a bit slowly. That maybe there's something about waiting for the right time, or that they're in this sort of like internal process at the moment. Because I'm kind of getting this energy of like something in the external, like this could be another person, it could be an opportunity, but they're sort of waiting for the right opportunity for something. And that they're in their own process, or they're steadily working towards something, but they are in the autumn energy, that they're like reaching this point of fulfillment for them with the 9 of Cups. Okay, Scorpio, I'm going to leave it there. If this reading resonated with you, please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.